to the topic of the night, debating the winners and losers from the latest Democratic presidential debate, this time in Charleston, just days before that all-important primary, which is then quickly followed by Super Tuesday. So let's bring in Fox News contributors Leslie Marshall, Byron York, and DeRoy Murdoch. Great to have all of you with us tonight. All right, DeRoy, let's start with you. Walk us through your winners and losers as the dust settles tonight.
Sure thing. I think relative to expectation, I've got a tie on the winners, which first of all is Michael Bloomberg. He was energetic tonight. I see much more focused. He seemed to do his homework, and I thought he happened to be the very first person to mention the coronavirus, which made him look pretty sharp. He had an excellent answer on education in New York City. His policy on charter schools, I thought that looked pretty good. Biden seemed to come alive. He was much more focused and energetic. He had some good comments about knowing Xi Jinping and Xi Jinping not having a small d Democrat bone in his body. He also made a very amusing comment about thinking that misconception that he has too much hair. And I thought the loser was Bernie Sanders. He was very testy and cranky. He's not exactly a warm and toasty guy to begin with, but he barely smiled. I didn't see the steady, calm ease that you would expect to see out of a front-runner. I don't think his math added up on Medicare for All, and he once again doubled down on saying good things about Castro's Cuba, and made the point about literacy there. You can teach people how to read, you can increase literacy without running political prisons. And I wish he'd make that point, and he didn't tonight.
All right, Leslie, to you then. You may have some agreement on some of those points.
Yeah, definitely. My winner tonight is Joe Biden. I felt that foreign policy-wise, he was the strongest, not only on the stage with experience, but also the way he spoke about it. The only person to bring up the Chinese Muslim population, the Uyghurs that are oppressed. And in addition to that, I felt that tonight, more so than any other debate, he really put Pete Buttigieg in the backseat, if you will, with regard to being a moderate up there. I thought he looked like a moderate front runner tonight, and quite frankly, it's about time. He very much needs to do that. The loser tonight, I felt, was Senator Amy Klobuchar. The last debate, I didn't think she was strong, and I thought she would maybe come back, and she didn't. I found her a bit shrill, and I found her having some personal attacks, and I don't think that makes her look good, and I don't think it was a strong performance at all, and she needed one.
Okay, so now to Byron York, who was actually there in the spin room. You read this differently there on the ground in Charleston. Tell us about it.
You know, I think I had a kind of a negative impression here. You know, not every debate has to have a winner. And I just don't think anybody won. It was a raucous, it was kind of an ugly affair in which many of the candidates spent most of the night talking over each other. So I really didn't see any candidate emerging as a winner. I did see three losers. Michael Bloomberg almost said that he bought the Democratic Congress in 2018. He was talking about how he had spent more than $100 million electing Democrats to the House, and he began to say, I bought, and then he changed it. He said he got them. Bernie Sanders, I agree, was kind of cranky tonight. He was, for pretty obvious reasons, he was under a lot more attack as the front runner than he had been in the past. And Joe Biden, who some people do believe kind of skated by, did the minimum he needs to win in South Carolina, did do another amazing Joe Bidenism in which he said 150 million Americans have been killed by guns since 2007, which is really, really, really wrong.
Yeah, and some are giving him a pass on that, saying it was a numbers issue, not something that was a falsehood. But okay, I want to play something from Amy Klobuchar, who has done really well for the most part in these debates, kind of staying alive, talking about her record about actually getting things done and citing what she has actually done percentage-wise in Congress, and also calling out Bernie Sanders on his promises for all kinds of free stuff. And the math not adding up. Here was one of her lines tonight. She summed up the frustration of a lot of folks there who said, listen, yeah, you're going out and making all these promises, but people are going to be disappointed if they realize that you can't keep them. That's her take. I want to get a quick reaction from each of you on that. DeRoy, starting with you.
Yeah, I think that's an important point. I mean, Klobuchar, I don't agree with her very much, but she does seem to be able to work across the aisle and get legislation passed. I think Bernie Sanders, I've heard, has had about 3 actual bills with his name on them passed, so he's very good about wowing crowds and all that. But finally, are you actually going to be able to get anything signed and authorized?
Leslie, does she have a point?
She definitely has a point, because there are two issues here. Everybody keeps talking about the price tag of everything that Bernie Sanders is proposing, specifically Medicare for all, and that the numbers don't add up and it's going to be a burden to the middle class. And while that all may be true, something else that is true that she inferred by what she was saying is this isn't going to pass. It's not going to pass the current composite of the House with a Democratic majority, because the majority are moderates and centrists that aren't going to vote for his plans. The Senate is a majority Republicans. They're not going to vote for it. And if that changes in 2020, well, certainly that could change more so. So she absolutely is right on that.
Okay, and we lost Byron, or we would have gone back to him. Leslie, Byron, and DeRoy, thank you all for being with us tonight. We'll see how your predictions play out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.